Now, I've talked about before in a previous video on this channel why, in my opinion, the Electoral College should be abolished. And if you want to know my reasons why for that, you can check out that video. I'll put a link in the description box below. Now, I'm not a fan of it, and I think it's really, in a lot of ways, a semi-anti-democratic way to choose our president and goes counterculture to how we determine pretty much every other elected office in this country. But it is the law of the land. Now, I understand with the 2016 presidential election, you basically got the choice of two turds. And no matter what, whether it was going to be Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, whoever got to 270 electoral votes or more and won the presidency, you would have a large swath of population that was very unhappy, very displeased with the outcome of the election. Now, with that said, it ended up being Donald Trump who ended up winning and becoming the president-elect. And not surprisingly, there are a lot of people that are surprised at the result, and a lot of people that are disappointed, they are hurt, they are upset, they're emotional about it, and what have you. So you can imagine then that, especially now with Hillary Clinton having over a 2 million vote lead in the popular vote, there comes this argument of, is Donald Trump really rightfully the next president of the United States? Would the election of Donald Trump by the Electoral College truly be following the will of the people? And there is an argument to be made there. Now, with that said, you're talking about an electoral college system where all 50 states don't really necessarily technically matter. It comes down to 10, 12, maybe 14 states at the very, very most. They are the ones that determine who ultimately is the next president of the United States. And if you did have a popular vote contest or where all 50 states mattered somehow, some way, maybe both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton run different campaigns. Maybe Donald Trump would potentially win the popular vote in that case. Or maybe Hillary Clinton would maybe win the popular vote by 4 or 5 million. Who knows? It's all conjecture. It's all argument. And it's all hypothesis and theory at this point in time. But the Electoral College is the law of the land. And until there is something done from a constitutional standpoint via a constitutional amendment, it is going to continue to be the archaic, antiquated, and ludicrous anti-democratic way that we choose our presidents. It is what it is. Now, again, with so many people being upset about Donald Trump being the next president of the United States, and so many people being concerned about the path that he's going to take this country down, and understandably so, and the concerns about him having the access to the nuclear codes, again, understandably so, the concerns about him actually being prepared for the presidency, legitimately so. I mean, there are so many legitimate reasons to be concerned about a potential Donald Trump presidency. It's not a surprise that now you have a lot of people, especially Democrats and liberals, that are trying to sit there and find a way to circumvent the results of the November 8th election and figure out a way to block Donald Trump from the presidency. You've got Jill Stein raising money to do recounts in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. And at the end of the day, nothing will probably ultimately come out of that. I mean, maybe a few thousand votes could potentially change or be thrown out, but that could benefit Donald Trump. That could potentially benefit Hillary Clinton. I'm not opposed to there being recounts, but don't get your hopes up if you're hoping that it's going to help overthrow Donald Trump's electoral college victory. It's just not going to happen. So then it comes to trying to persuade enough members of the Electoral College, basically Congress, to sit there and say, hey, you know, I understand your state may have voted for him, but he is not the right person. You damn good and well know it. You need to be a faithless elector. And basically the strategy right now by many people doing change.org petitions and different things is try to create an environment where there's enough reason for enough faithless electors to flip their vote from Donald Trump to a Hillary Clinton or to somebody else potentially and block Donald Trump from the presidency. Now, in theory, this doesn't sound like a terrible idea because Donald Trump is not somebody that I want having the keys to the country for the next 4 years. Initially, the powers that be and the corporate structure in this country, or you could call it a big company, the United States, they're going to do everything they can to try and make Donald Trump look good because a lot of the policies that he's going to put in place are going to be very beneficial to Wall Street, to big businesses, to corporations. And as a result, why would you intentionally immediately shoot yourself in the foot and make this guy look bad, that's going to bend over backwards to make things beneficial for you, because ultimately at the end of the day it's going to be beneficial for him. When we talk about conflict of interest, the Donald Trump presidency is going to be known as the epitome, if anything else, of a conflict of interest. And that's just the reality. That's just the way it's going to be. Initially, it's probably going to go well because, if anything, like I said, the powers that be are going to try and help it be that way. But eventually they will do what they always do, trip up themselves. They're going to get too carried away with themselves, and it's going to lead to a freaking disaster. It's going to lead to a big recession and many other challenges and problems that are going to take years to dig out of the hole of. That's what I envision happening. But with that said, while I'm no fan of Donald Trump, and I did not vote for Donald Trump, and I could not ever envision a day, while I talked for a couple of years now that he was a legitimate Republican candidate because in many ways he was the modern day GOP, I did not ever envision a path to where I could feasibly say that this man actually should be or deserved to be the president of the United States. It's one of these things. On the one hand, it sounds great in theory to block a Donald Trump presidency from happening because we could avert potential disaster, but sometimes it's about tough love. And people are going to have to find out the hard way. So if America falls on its sword over the next 4 years, they have ultimately nobody to blame but themselves. And it goes beyond even Donald Trump. It's the fact that the Democrats allowed a corrupt system to be put into place that basically gave a pathway to Hillary Clinton to walk to a nomination that she frankly shouldn't have had and most certainly may not have even deserved. But again, that's what happened in America over the next 4 years. They fall on their swords. They'll have their chance in 2020, and even before that, the midterms in 2018, to try and start to make some stuff right and learn from their mistakes. Will we as a country remains to be seen. So there's a lot of reasons to not want Donald Trump to be president, in my opinion. And there are a lot of reasons why he shouldn't be. But all this talk of faithless electors and trying to get the Electoral College, people to change their votes, to me, that is anti-democratic, even more so than the Electoral College system itself. Look, like I said, I am no fan of the Electoral College. 4 years ago, ironically, Donald Trump was not, but now, since it's really the reason that he is the next president of the United States, because most certainly not the popular vote in the way the system is currently constructed, he loves it now. He thinks it's great and it's wonderful, and it helps keep America great. Whatever. Hypocritical jackass to the nth power. But to sit there and talk about circumventing the will of the people, the way our system is currently constructed, to talk about saying, hey, we don't like the results of the election, so we're going to try and find a way to change it. To me, this is the type of shit that you expect out of a dictatorship, a totalitarianism, a fascist type of system. Now, we could talk about the crony capitalism in this country and the fact that we basically have a form of corporate fascism, and that is true. But we don't need that carrying over to our votes. At the end of the day, based off of the way the system is set up, Donald Trump won, Hillary Clinton lost. And for the people that for some reason wanted Hillary Clinton to win, get that through your thick fucking skulls. For the people that maybe even didn't vote for Hillary Clinton but didn't want to see a Donald Trump presidency happen, well, if you didn't vote for Hillary and or you didn't go out and vote at all, which is some of the people that are complaining didn't even bother to vote, so go fuck yourselves. How dare you? Donald Trump earned this based off of the way the system is set up. If you didn't like it, maybe you should have supported somebody better than Hillary Clinton. If you really didn't like it and you really wanted to make sure November 8th that it didn't happen, then maybe you should have voted for Hillary Clinton. But clearly enough people didn't. And at the end of the day, the will of the people, based off of the way the system is set up, was that Donald Trump should be the next president of the United States. I don't like it. It doesn't mean that you have to like it. But what bothers me even more are people trying to sit there and suggest that we should have all of these faithless electors that go against the will of their constituents, the will of the people. While there's not anything set in stone at a federal level, and you have many states that, I think it's like 29 of them, have some type of laws that bind the Electoral College members to vote as the people in the state did, although the penalties, if they don't, are very, very minimal and not really a huge discouragement from voting faithlessly. At the end of the day, the historical precedent has been for years and years in this country that, let's say the state of Florida, if 29 electoral votes are at stake and Donald Trump or somebody else wins that state, like it or not, they get all 29 of those votes. Now, you'll have a state like Maine or Nebraska that awards some for the statewide winner and then for each congressional district. But again, in states like a Florida or a state like Pennsylvania with 20 electoral votes, if Barack Obama wins that state in 2008, 2012, the historical precedence is he gets all of their electoral votes, just like Donald Trump gets all of their electoral votes. And to me, we have a very flawed democracy. But to sit there and talk about wanting to usurp our current system during the process, not in the build up to 2020, mind you, where this discussion and conversation needs to happen, but during technically still the 2016 election process, is scary and terrifying to me. We cannot be usurping the democracy we have in place because a lot of people are upset by it. If you were upset by it, you should have either A, gotten a better candidate to run against Donald Trump, or B, not supported Donald Trump, or B, supported somebody else even on the Republican side that wasn't Donald Trump, or C, once that time came and you realized Donald Trump was a stone's throw away from the presidency, you should have voted for Hillary Clinton or voted for a third party to enough of a level to where they became the next president of the United States. But that's not what happened. Again, I hate the Electoral College system. I think it's stupid. I hate Donald Trump, and I think, frankly, he's stupid and bad for this country. But you are not about to sit there and hear me start talking about how the Electoral College needs to go against the will of the people within the system that we have in place. That is fascism. That is totalitarian dictatorship type of shit. It's the, well, you could vote, but you've only got one name on the ballot, and if you don't vote for that one name, we're going to blast your fucking brains out all over your ballot. And then still change your vote any damn ways. For all the people that are upset, just stop. You had your chance, and you helped to make this happen. In 4 years, fight back. And fight back strongly. But to sit there and now try to go in a way to usurp the Electoral College is to give credence to Donald Trump even more, and his supporters, especially on the alt-right, talking about the rigged system and talking about a liberal bias and all of these things. You just give more credence to it. You don't boost your argument, you actually make it weaker. And if you got to the point where you actually did get some electors to be faithless and turn and vote for Hillary Clinton, but Donald Trump still won the presidency, you run the risk of potentially giving Donald Trump a little bit of a boost in terms of his favorability and likability, because now people are going to sit there and say, you know what? Whether I like him or not, he won it fair and square based off of the rules that he had to play with, and now people are trying to change the rules halfway through the damn game. We don't expect that out of football or basketball or baseball or hockey in this country, and we most certainly shouldn't expect it out of our freaking presidential elections. Donald Trump is the president-elect. He will be the fifth president of the United States, like it or not. And at the end of the day, like it or not, based off of the way this country voted, based off of the Electoral College system, the popular vote be damned, at the end of the day, it means nothing. Donald Trump has earned the right to be the next president of the United States. Whether we fall on our own sword or not because of it, that's to be decided over the next 4 years. And if people are that upset about it, in 4 years, make sure you do something to make sure that this never, ever happens again. But it has happened. And to try and stop it from happening without having any real legal argument to it, to me, is even more dangerous potentially than a Donald Trump presidency. And this talk has to stop. Donald Trump is the president-elect. It's time everybody comes to grip with that. And enough is enough with all this trying to switch over the Electoral College shit. I don't want to see our current system be usurped during the process. I want to see it reformed and changed after this particular process.